How will Groot's new change affect the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Fans of Marvel's #1 Flora Colossus woke to the smell of burning wood chips this week after Marvel released the first issue of Infinity Countdown, which is a new comic event featuring a bunch of Marvel's characters trying to track down the Infinity Stones again. And in the issue, the self-affirming plant goes through a major change that could have repercussions for his MCU counterpart. Now, before we get into it, we will warn you that there are some Baby Groot-sized spoilers coming up, so fair warning. Still here? Great. Groot can talk again, and we don't just mean I am Groot in its various variety of variations. In the issue, Baby Groot cures the Gardener, a plant-creating cosmic elder, after he is poisoned by the Asgardian god of mischief Loki. Now, for those not willing to pull out their long boxes, the Gardener is one of the oldest sentient beings in the Marvel Universe, and aligns himself with other elders of the universe like the Collector and the Grand Master. And since one good turn deserves another, the Gardener uses his powers to return Baby Groot to his fully grown size, and he gives Groot back his ability to talk in full sentences. Though a Groot with a full vocabulary might sound insane to newer comics fans, the repetitive "I am Groot" catchphrase is a pretty new development for Groot in the comics. Now, when Groot first appeared in Tales to Astonish 13 way back in 1960, he was an intelligent cosmic tree monster who had traveled to Earth to do what any good alien does: abduct humans. In those days, Groot talked like your normal run-of-the-mill villain, and for the next few decades, Groot went back and forth between being a villain and a good guy. It was just recently that Groot switched over to only saying "I am Groot" in the comics when Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning took on writing duties during the comic. I keep wanting to say duties, which is right, but I'm thinking poops. It was just recently that Groot switched over to only saying "I am Groot" in the comics when Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning wrote the comic miniseries Annihilation Conquest and their subsequent run of Guardians of the Galaxy, where we later find out that the reason he switched to just saying "I am Groot" is that he had a hardened larynx. Larynx, is that right? Larynx. Larynx voice box. His voice box is you guys. And in a universe where the source of infinite power is a bunch of multicolored space rocks, this makes as much sense as anything else. So how will Groot's newfound vocal ability impact the MCU? As we've said before on this show, the MCU and the comics don't fit within the same canon, but they absolutely inform each other, and the comics give us a pretty good idea where the MCU will be heading. Most of the MCU films are directly inspired by stories from the books. Events of Thor Ragnarok were inspired by parts of the Planet Hulk run, and Captain America: The Winter Soldier was heavily based on the storyline in the comics, and many, many, many other examples. It even goes the other way sometimes too. Now, the Infinity Stones in the comics used to be smooth gemstones, but their recently revealed new design looks identical to the more rough and rocky Infinity Stones that we've seen in the MCU. So while the comics and films are separate officially, it's crazy to assume that they're happening in a vacuum. We don't think we'll be seeing a fully articulate Groot in Marvel films in the near future, but with President of Marvel Studios Kevin Feige confirming that the MCU is heading in a cosmic direction after Avengers 4, and with a bunch of MCU characters presumably being killed off in the next few films, it makes sense for them to give Groot more of a voice in the Marvel Universe. Plus, Groot is voiced by Vin Diesel, and you bet he's itching to spread his wings and show the world what he can really do in the role of an intergalactic talking tree.
I'm Groot.
So there's definitely a chance we'll see a more articulate Groot in the MCU. As for him, once again becoming a major villain, we doubt he'll ever return to those roots. That was a good one, B-Comp. But what do you guys think? Will we see a more verbal Groot in the MCU? Are you excited to see what effect the new Groot's vernacular has in the comics? And are there any other movie characters you wish had a bigger vocabulary? We think a fully voiced R2-D2 would be tight. We do not think that! That's stupid! Shut! No! I don't care. Let's discuss. And did you catch this week's episode of The Dan Cave? Dan's breaking down a wild fan theory in honor of the Big Lebowski's 20th anniversary, and if you don't think it's great, well, that's just, like, your opinion, man. You can check it out on Nerdist YouTube channel right now.